Hello all my beauty people. Today I'm going to be showing you a simple way on how to do an A-line haircut, and I have to give props where props are due. This is a technique I learned from a former co-worker of mine and a dear friend, Miss Jeannie, and ever since then I've taught it this way to my freshmen because I really believe that when you're teaching the beginners of cosmetology that you want to make things as simplified as you can, not so difficult where they can't understand the techniques, and then they can build on that. So that's what I'm doing, and hopefully you'll learn from this, and then you can add on to the foundation that I'm giving you. Now on my table setup, the first thing that I have is my spray bottle, my all-purpose comb, or of course you can use a hair cutting comb of your choice. I have my hair cutting shears, and I have 2 plastic clips, which is all you need unless you feel you need more. So during this time with your client, you're doing your consultation. Of course, I never show this on video, but you would be analyzing and assessing her scalp, and you also would be assessing her features to see if she could really pull off an A-line haircut, how severe you want that A-line to be. But in this consultation, this part of the consultation, we're determining where she parts her hair. Because if she parts her hair on one side and she literally wears it that way all the time, you can leave it like that and cut accordingly to how she parts it, because she's never going to flip it over to the other side, so it won't be an issue where it gets longer on another side. But if she feels like she's going to change it from side to side, which this client here decided she may want to wear it on the left side, her parting, or the right side, we just parted it down the middle so that it could be even on both sides. So if she happens to flip it back and forth, there won't be an issue where it looks like some hairs are a little bit longer than the rest. And what I mean by that is that the haircut would be uneven somehow. And just so you know, this particular haircut is a 45-degree angle, but it's like, how can I say it? It's like a 0 degree with your fingers angled at a 45, because the only time you would elevate that hair is if you're going to put layers in it, in which I did put layers in it. And I thought that I had put in the piece where I was showing you how I did layers, but I did not. And due to timing, I'm not going to do that. But I'm also going to explain to you, like with your guide, as far as this haircut goes, it's a stationary guide. Now, what I'm doing right now is sectioning her in 2. If you really felt that 2 sections is still too complicated, then section her in 4. Down the middle from the hairline to the nape, and then from ear to ear. And you could just cut 2 sections at a time. So you see it's going down the middle from front to back. And then I'm going to section off the guide. Now her hair is not too long. I've never cut this mannequin before. This was a mannequin that I had used in my how to do a soft curl perm video. So what I'm doing right now, because she came with layers, is I was literally deciding which layer did I want to bring the A-line up to. And so when someone comes to you and they have layered hair, you can decide to bring your guide up to that layer if you want it to be shorter in the back and really severe in the front, but I did not. So I have my guide now, and there you have it. It's like an A in the back. So I'm going to take my guide and I'm going to twist it at least 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and I think I did a little more. I had to cut this string off, which is part of my twilight zone. And now I'm going to cut it straight across, so I want to make sure that my shears are angled straight. Cut that off. So her A-line is going to be a little longer. It's still at the shoulders. And you can see the A there where it's shorter in the middle, longer on the sides. I'm doing a little bit of touching up if there's anything that's uneven there on the guide before I get started. Again, like I said, the entire haircut is based off of this guide. Now, what you can do, I'm showing you that you're going to direct the hair slightly over the center line. You can part a line physically down the middle each time you bring down your subsections, or you can just envision the line going down the middle each and every time you bring down your subsections, because when you're directing the hair back, you direct the hair slightly over that center line, angle your fingers at a 45 degree, and you cut. So remember, whenever you direct hair back, it's always going to come forward longer. So if you calculate the distance between the nape of the head and the front of the head, this is how it would make sense, because in the nape area, the distance across that middle line is shorter, which means the hair in the back is going to be shorter. And as you get towards the front of the head, the distance is longer. So then you'll have longer hair in the front because you're cutting less hair off the further up. And I was just showing you the guide underneath that longer hair. So I'm focusing on cutting the longer hair up to the guide. You never want to recut your guide unless you felt like it wasn't short enough. Because if you gather up your guide and the hair that's supposed to be cut up to your guide and you recut your guide again, you just set a new guide in your haircut, which means the whole haircut is going to be thrown off. Also, what I wanted to say is the only time I would make the guide a mobile guide and elevate the hair as I'm cutting it is when I want to add layers. So just remember that. Right now we're doing a blunt A-line haircut. She already has layers in there. I did shorten it just slightly, but not too much. So I'm bringing it slightly over the middle line. And remember the second knuckle rule. And if you cut past the second knuckle, one day you will see why. That is kind of a rule that you don't want to break. The only time you cut past the second knuckle really is when you're cutting on top of the fingers. Okay, so when you get up towards the ear, the head starts to curve because it's up in that crown area. So now my subpartings are going to be diagonal going toward the face. And then what I'm showing you here is the distance. And if you see when you're directing it back, the distance is longer, which means I have less hair to cut with that guide. So that means when the hair is let go, it's going to come back, longer. You don't want to comb the hair straight down and angle your fingers. You can, some people do that, but your results are less predictable than when you just bring the hair back. You kind of know what you're going to get when you direct that hair back, as opposed to just combing the hair straight down and then angling your fingers in the direction you think the A-line's going to be. Some people do cut it that way. I mean, this isn't a state board procedure, so it's not wrong. But my thing, I believe it's I think it's easier and less hassle when you direct that hair back and angle your fingers, because you're following a guide. So I'm doing the same thing on the other side. And what I wanted to tell you too is when the hair is finer, you decide once you get up to the front of the head if you can drop all that hair down, which is what I did once I did a couple of subpartings in the front, because her hair is fine enough. So I just combed it all down and directed all that hair back. She has shorter hair in the front, so whatever doesn't reach to the back, of course I'm not going to cut it, so we don't have to worry about that. So I just combed that whole section down, directed the hair back. There really wasn't anything to cut because now it's even with that guide back there. Checking that there. I had a little bit to cut, but very little. And now we're done with the cut. So I'm just checking it out, looking to see if I see an A-line shaping there. And I do. I see where it's shorter in the middle and longer. Now, client safety, the golden rule with hair cutting is before you do any blow dry styling or any styling, you want to sweep the hair up first. So please always remember that hair is very slippery. You can hurt yourself and your client can hurt themselves. Now I'm blow drying the hair. And there we have it. We have a subtle, nice, soft A-line. And she still has a little bit of length, but you can tell that it's an A-line. She has some nice, subtle layers in there. And there you have it. Thank you so much for watching my videos. God bless you. And thank you for supporting my channel. See you next time.